Hi, welcome to my disabled life. So it's Saturday here at the skilled nursing facility. Um, if you're watching this, it's probably actually Sunday because I like film and then post, so I'm always like an actual day behind. At any rate, so I've been making some really good progress as far as relearning, remembering, reminding my body how to walk. Yesterday in physical therapy, I was actually able to walk without any supports. I did a couple of laps in the gym, even like practicing going on stairs. That was awesome. And then for the rest of the day, I decided to use a walker instead of my wheelchair if I needed to get up for anything. Today I asked for a cane. So they gave me, it's one of those like 4-prong ones. I just have a single prong at home. 4-prong's a little more, I don't know if prong is even the right word. 4-foot. Anyway, it's the quad style one is considered more stable than a single point. So, sorry for the super dappled light, by the way. I'm outside in the courtyard because it's the only place that is quiet, and it's also just nice out here. The weather's good right now, but yeah, we get dappled sunlight with the trees. So anyway, so today I asked for a cane instead. It feels good to walk. I am definitely very tired from working so hard. There's no therapy on the weekends, so I have like today and tomorrow as rest days. Because whether you are in hardcore gym training for, I don't know, a decathlon or something, or you're just trying to get yourself from being bedridden to walking again, like when you're doing a lot of exercise, you need to have, your recovery days. So, today and tomorrow will be recovery days. I've been sitting out here for a little while, and I can feel like my muscles getting fatigued just from holding me in an upright position for so long without like any kind of support, because there's no backrest on this bench, which I chose so that I could make my stabilizer muscles engage and get a bit of workout. After recording this, I am probably going to go lay down, probably take a nap. I slept better last night than I have. There are some really great ASMR and like ASMR roleplay creators that I really enjoy, that I follow, that I find very comforting, and so I just like sunk into those. So I doubt that either of them will run across this video, but redacted ASMR, bad fantasy. Thanks, guys. Thanks for giving me a space to cuddle up with all of my pretend werewolf boyfriends. That was very, very comforting, and helped me to relax last night. It was also quieter last night, thankfully, too. So that was helpful. Speech therapy. Some cool new developments. I worked with a speech therapist yesterday. She asked for my consent to record me, which I was like, yeah, of course. Like, I'm a pretty public person about all my stuff, and it's not like you're going to use my name. Turns out she's also a teacher. Like, she practices speech therapy, but she is also a teacher, so she'll be using the recordings of my aphasic speech patterns in class. Apparently, my particular case of functional speech disorder is very rare and very unique. She's only run into like a couple other cases of it, like the fact that there's a lot of variability in my disorder. It's not just one thing that is consistent. It changes in levels of intensity, as well as like levels of verbal fluency ability. And while I am having those episodes, I am also still able to like sing. I can clearly speak in other languages that I have learned. I'm not fluent in any other languages, so it's not that helpful. And I can quote anything that I've memorized. So, so she recorded all of that, and she might publish a paper. So if she publishes a paper on it, I might end up in a medical journal somewhere. That's kind of cool. She said if that happens, then I'll be notified and I can get a copy of it, so that's cool. Shoot, there's something that made me think of something else that I wanted to, variable. I wanted to talk today about variable disability. We've been having, at least in the online circles I ran in, I've been seeing more conversation about invisible disability. So things like, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, like you can't look at someone and know that they are disabled or know what their disability is. Not everyone who is disabled uses mobility aids, and some people that use mobility aids do not use them all the time. And I think there's so little disability representation in our media that, and just as a society, Americans tend to think in like very either or type ways. So, we're a big fan of our dichotomies, which, there's very few things that are true dichotomies. Almost everything is a spectrum. And variable. Human beings are variable and fluid in a number of ways. And that goes for a lot of disabilities as well, and chronic illnesses. So, like I, for one, have I used to refer to myself as having invisible disabilities. My disability has become a lot more visible in the last 6 months or so, with like needing to use mobility aids, having my tremor, being aphasic in public, stuff like that, fainting in public. But more than that, it's variable. So, and it can switch very quickly. So I might have days or even weeks where I'm doing pretty good. I may not need to use a cane for weeks at a time. It'll be good amount of time that I haven't had aphasia. My speech hasn't gotten weird. My energy is doing good. My mental health is doing good. And then something might happen. Maybe I push myself a little too hard one day, or I sleep wrong and it creates some extra pain somewhere, something. And that could, the most random thing can knock me down in a number of ways for a day or for weeks. And sometimes it's gradual. Like I'll start having, increased pain in my low back, and then that slowly turns into pain going down my legs, and that slowly turns into increased fatigue, and this just like becomes this slow domino effect over like say a week, and then I need like another week to recover. But then there are other times where I am doing just peachy keen, and then something, particularly if it's stress anxiety related, or just boom, I stopped functioning in some way. Before all of this, when I say all of this, I mean my functional leg weakness started, which, it started on the 14th. On the 11th, I was dancing on stage. It was my first burlesque performance in 2 years, like since before the pandemic started. And I danced with my cane. It was awesome. There were some other babes with mobility aids in the audience. And awesomely, some of them reached out to me after the show, and were just like, that was so great to see someone like me on stage. And I'm just like, yay, because I was terrified. But like, I was terrified. So I was doing totally great, feeling good that day. Literally 2 days before that, I had such bad pain in my foot that I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to perform. So like all the way up into like the day before, I'm like, I might have to pull out. But I did it. I got some really intense stage jitters right before I went on, which is not like me. I've never really been a stage fright person, but it hit me hard. And so my friends were like backstage, like, no, it's gonna be cool, you're gonna do great, it's gonna be awesome. And I just kept thinking about this one particular person that I had seen before the show who had come up to me. They were also a cane user, and she said, I'm so glad I'm not the only one here. And we like bumped cane tops. And so I just kept thinking about that person. Like, I'm going to do this for them. I'm just going to get out there and do this for them. And I'm just glad to see that, like always, when I get on stage, it doesn't matter what's going on with me beforehand. When I get on, I'm in the fucking zone. I like to say that I become possessed, whether I am being possessed by the muses, or my ancestors, or goddess. I don't know, but I get possessed. Sometimes I literally come on stage and I have no idea what's happened. But I'm in the zone, and I got off stage and it's done, and I immediately, like, my hand tremor took over my whole body, and I was extremely aphasic, could barely talk at all. And two of my friends that were back there, like, hadn't seen me like that before. And we're kind of concerned, like, are you okay? Do we need to call someone? And I'm trying to tell them, like, no, it's because to anyone who doesn't know me and know my conditions, when you see, it's one of the signs of a stroke is sudden speech difficulty. And so when I become suddenly aphasic, especially really badly, it's very easy for someone who doesn't know me to think that I'm having a stroke. So variability in disability and chronic illness is something that definitely needs to be talked about more. We need to be more aware of, especially like and we see this I've been seeing this more. People talk about, just because I could do it yesterday doesn't mean that I can do it today. Particularly when it comes to something like a particular kind of physical activity, work, social activity, what have you. And it's something important to keep in mind with your friends. And honestly, I mean, even if you're not disabled or have chronic illness, no one runs on the exact same amount of steam, motivation, interest, ability every single day. every single day. No one is able to like give their 100% all the time, every time, regardless of whether the situations that they're walking into require 50% or 200%. Like, you know, we all need to have some grace for ourselves and for each other. And as you're out and about in the world, just remember that you don't know what someone's going through. If you see, if you see someone using a mobility aid, do not make assumptions about them. There are lots of people in the world who use wheelchairs who can walk. They're called ambulatory wheelchair users. And we're not faking it. We're not trying to milk anything. There's a number of reasons to use a wheelchair besides being paralyzed or having your legs broken or something. Sometimes the whole reason I got my wheelchair originally, a friend gifted it to me, bless her, was because I could use it for energy conservation. I get fatigued extremely easily. So doing something like going grocery shopping or going on a family outing where there would normally be a lot of standing and walking will leave me absolutely wrecked for the day and possibly for the week. So rather than walking around and being on my feet for an hour, because I can't do that. I do not have the ability to be on my feet for an hour. I don't have the ability to be on my feet for 20 minutes. So rather than doing that and then being on my back for the next 3 days, I use my wheelchair. And I'm always afraid that, if I'm in my wheelchair or if I'm in one of the electric carts at the grocery store and I stand up to get something, that someone's going to rip into me saying, oh, you're faking it. You're a fake. Or just see me in it and being young. And this, because mobility aids are also often thought of as something that only seniors need. So often, even when I know that I'm not planning on getting up out of my chair while I'm out, I will still bring my cane with me, just as kind of like a badge of yes, I really do need this. Please do not side-eye me, and please leave me alone. And I hate that I feel like I have to defend my need for things and that other people have to defend their need for things. So, these are things to keep in mind. We don't talk about disability in school, when you're learning about stuff. The only time that we really talk about disability while we're being educated is usually when we're talking about someone famous from history, and it's always from a place of them overcoming their disability or being able to do this great thing in spite of their disability. And it's usually very shallow. It's not really looked into. I might do another video on the ADA and oh, I should do one about ugly laws. Talk about lack of disability representation. The fact that there was a time in this country where it was not legal to be out in public and be disabled or ill. Yeah, I think that's going to be another video that comes up on this channel. So anyway, it's oh my gosh. Oh wow, this one's been a 20-minute video and my phone is dying and my muscles are getting real tired, so I'm going to go lay down. But thank you for sticking with me this far, and I'm really excited about the progress that I've been able to make. And now I know what I need to do if this happens again, if, because I don't know if this will be the only time that this happens. It may happen again, but now I know what to do to help re-establish that connection between my brain and my legs. So yeah, I'm gonna go inside and rest, do some meditation, build that mind-body connection, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Later.